He said, Scott was here, took the kids, you better bring him back. He said the kids, he just had the kids here and they used them to put them in transparent form. He said he took off with them and he said, I want them back. Stan said, it was said you may not have them and you cannot take them and you cannot harm them, nor can anybody else. No, you have to bring them back. He said, also, you're seeing babies. They use their gift to make them seen and not seen. And transparent's what it's called instead of invisible. He said, also, we need you to tell me. He said they were across the street, hitting her in the face, hitting her in the bottom, hitting her in the fucking mess. Stan says they're trying to say things we don't want them to say. These people like to hurt, they don't stop, and they do anything and everything, and we don't want them to do it. So we've got papers and there's laws. He said there's rules about what you can say and these things from now on. And that's my head and my, he said, you just did bone again. He said, fine. He says earlier we had two people that come in today. Joseph, he said, I was here this morning and I witnessed things that were good. And then I watched him hurt you in the face and I watched her hurt you in the body. He says, and I also watched I'm sorry. He said, I also watched you think about the things that we were saying. So I know that you think, and I know that you're thinking about things. He says, and also the people that just took the family members were Abby and Sarah's families, Nadia, it was the girls. They took themselves out of here because they were told to go. And you don't tell them to go, and we don't want them going, but you need to bring them back because I don't want them out there cold again tonight. So that way they can feel what it's like to not be able to do what they need to do because she just has something. Try to get out. He said, I was just to say I'm off for a little bit because I can't say too much. He wants to come back and say things to you, and you don't want him to be mean, and we don't want him to be able. He said, that was vision. He said, you got to stay in here so you know you're safe. He said they just took, he said, yeah, Stan says he just took all of it out that you put in. And that was the second of it. That's why I said you did not get hurt as bad because you had him and his family here. They listened. He said, we came out multiple times today and we have to watch this. And he says, we got to get more people because Stan says they are going to do sick. He said, already, Stan says, we got to have it good.
And that's it. That's all. See you later. I go. I go out there.
You should see everybody's faces. Everybody's exhausted in here. He said, so no more, he said, no more Christian rockers. He said she was in there. He said the other person was Thomas and he comes down here to do a Bible study. He's awesome. He said, we love the way he teaches. He breaks it down in a PowerPoint presentation and then he shows it and then he like has you look at it and say something about it. He says, but he just has a really basic, this is what it's about. And that's what we want to make it basic. We don't want harm. We don't do harm and we heal. And we stay and we don't do this anymore. So we'll talk and we'll be and we'll have and we'll care. And we got lots of people to help and we need to be covering everywhere because it's got to be everywhere. But we also say this, you gift and we see and we'll do it. So everybody, I'm here and you're here, let's do. And we'll come back and we'll say it. She does not want to have this. He said that Juan is there. She's the one that he was wanting to see. And he said, really bad. She said, because the person that came through here just now that tried to do more to you was her. She didn't like to be said. and she was the one that was with him. And he said also they don't have to be said, but these babies can all come in. He said we had to say it. We were talking about this thing going, how's she going to make it without her kids? And how's she going to make it when they're not there anymore and they don't want to be here anymore and they don't come around her anymore? And how's she going to make it when no kids will come around her anymore because he won't let it be good? And how's she going to make it when they don't want to have kids? And he said he did that to her before and it was sick. He said it was sick. And he says, well, and then I guess we'll just say it's been done. We don't need to do anymore. And Stan says, now you understand. He's got one person up there that wants to come back and do things and doesn't want to stop. She wants to be. And he said, I don't know, but we don't want to have any more. He said she just has another one that's coming back in there.
I'm trying to help you with that too.
He said everybody can come with him.
What are red people? Is the blue, red, or yellow?
He said we're talking about some different things. We're linked. I have family, they're gifted. They come from the Holy Tribes. It's called Praying Online. I started to look it up. Met him about 4 years ago. Since I think I said I work in intelligence and I have for a while. And I've met people that had fields that comprised of people from other area, other side and all. He said we have the world and we have the other place and we have heaven and the other areas and they're here and they're field he says not field, they're here to help, but it's just the fact that they never were here before. He said there's prophecy that's been written and there's people that have been stated under oath that we know who they are, we know who they are. He said, Erasmus, he said, I was here for a second. And he said, thank you, I love you. He's so wonderful. Thank you, I love you. He said, now you understand. She does not want you to have what you have and tried to take you out because you were talking about things. And he said the things that she wanted were you were damaged and damaged and damaged while she got to live a life that isn't hers. He said, I can't take anymore. He said, you've done enough to the family. You've done enough to this woman. You've done enough to these people that you don't ever need to do a thing again. But you don't need to come back and make the point that you could do something. Because it was said. He said, she said one day she'll be here. It won't want to be. It won't want to be. He said she told him, you're not going to want her there. Keep her up here and let her do something here that she wants to do here. And it'll be something for her that she does, but not anybody else. And that's where you'll want for her. And then someday you'll think about something else and it'll be no, just keep with what she does. And he said, no, I think I'm going to try it, see what happens. And that he says, you see, Stan says, you told them don't ever let her do anything but what she does because it'll be bad. And now you see, that's why I am. We talked about this earlier and we talked about how we do things. He said it was ritual. And she told Thomas, he said yes and thank you. He said, I don't want to say too much, but I'm someone you know. And I am the know. He says, I don't want to see. He said, I am the person that you know. And we will say yes. He said, he doesn't want to say anything to you and doesn't want to have anything with you. But we're going to. Stan says, I think that we're asking. He says, I think that we will. He said, I was kind of reluctant because I don't know what to say. And he said, this is somebody else running. He said that the study, he said she was looking at that going, that, I remember that. He said she was looking at some of it and she remembered some of it and she remembered. He said, they are going to talk. I don't want to say much and you don't want to say too much, but you do want to show that you are thinking about things. Yes, thank you for saying anything here, Lincoln. It's just a really awesome class. You're an awesome person. And we thank you so much for sharing, for doing this give back and for helping because we don't have the help that we have because of everybody. He says that people need to come back and we work together and we see this together and help. He says, if you guys come back and do this with us, then we are, he says, and do the things that we've been talking about. He says, you had a great big one attached to that little thing in your finger. You want them to come back? He said, yeah, I don't want them outside. He said, it's interspersed with, I've always looked at many things at one time. Michael Jr. said there's 7 different ways to learn. You either look at something, well, more than that, but he said, I look at things and see 7 different ways to look at it, and you're the same way as, he says, you're not looking at the 7 different ways. You are looking at this is this, and this is this, and this is this. He said, because I am. He said, that's why I am. So we're looking at things going, she says, that's going to happen there. I remember this, not this, not this. He says she thought she had a little bit of it, so she went forward and said, well, I've always had this. I just thought maybe, and then I thought, well, no. And then I thought, well, maybe I'm just somebody that I didn't know. And maybe I'm just somebody. So she went online yesterday to see what you said, and then she went and said, I don't know what this woman's talking about. She's like talking and she's all over the place. And then she says, I don't know why I'm watching this. And she says, well, why don't we just all watch this? So she said, we started all watching it. He says, well, I don't know. He said they all tried to see what was there. I said, no, not yet. And he says, why? He says, because you're going to have a thing that comes out someday. And they're going to say, well, she wasn't here. I said, well, it's right here. And he said, I don't know, but we're talking. He says, we're talking. He says, we were talking. You were talking to your family. He says, every day she's come in here, Stan says she is losing weight pretty fast. And she's also looking different, not herself. Stan says you've got more people than that you had before. He's still trying to say something. He said the kids are what you need.